Can we talk about the Grammys? And I understand it happened a couple of days ago, and I know you all have seen a lot of the clips that's went viral. You're aware of who's won the awards and who didn't win and all this and the third. The purpose of this video is not to regurgitate or to give you information that you already have, but from a cultural, a political, and most importantly, a spiritual perspective, I would really like to cover just a few things from the award show that I really want to just make sure a lot of people are aware of. All right. And I'm not even going to waste my time talking about the Kanye West thing. I think it's disgraceful. I think Kanye West is controlled opposition. I've been saying that for years on this channel. And if you don't understand what I mean by controlled opposition, I believe that Kanye West is a person that if you make it to that level, you have compromised to some extent. And I like the fact that he brought a lot of people to Jesus. And whether it was authentic or not, the purpose is he said the name Jesus Christ. He made music about Jesus Christ. He mentioned Jesus Christ's name in interviews. And for that, I appreciate it. But Kanye West was always going to remain secular, and I never saw him veering away from that. That's just my personal opinion. So him having his wife show up for the way that she did, the way that they showed up together, I think was attention seeking. I think it's stereotypical celebrity behavior, whether it's that or something not as extreme. I don't really care for it. But that leads me to my first person I would like to talk about when you mention controlled opposition. Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar won 5 Grammys, and all of them were for Not Like Us, from Record of the Year, Rap Performance of the Year, Rap Music Video of the Year. Congratulations to him, and I believe he now has 22 Grammys, which is absolutely insane. But it's also not surprising, because I would like to remind people that Kendrick Lamar is not who a lot of people think he is. I understand Kendrick Lamar is getting a lot of praise right now. And listen, I have to admit to you, not admit as if it's hard to say, Kendrick Lamar is an extremely talented rapper. He's one of the greatest of all time. And that was before the beef with Drake. I think he's cemented himself as that with several projects that he's put out. But let's not get it twisted. You, once again, do not make it to that level unless you've compromised. Drake and Kendrick Lamar are two wings of the same bird. If a lot of you all really believe that Kendrick Lamar is a quote-unquote conscious rapper, all you have to do is just go to his most recent album, GNX, and go listen to the song Incarnated or Reincarnated. Tell me what he's talking about in that record. Don't just listen to the 808s. Don't just listen to the instrumental. Don't just pay attention to the fact that it makes you feel good. Don't just pay attention to the fact that he's an extremely talented rapper. Actually read the lyrics. Actually listen to what he's talking about. Kendrick Lamar is an occultist. I've talked about that several times on this channel before, but I want to make sure I reiterate that as much as I can on this channel, especially when a person is being praised and put at the forefront. You got Lucian Grange and Dr. Dre, both occultists, allegedly, high-fiving each other in the crowd. One of those individuals supposedly having, at one point in time, a close relationship with Drake. Clearly, that's not the case. But the point being, I just want to, when it comes to celebrity worship culture, I always like to make sure I slide in here as much as I can that we shouldn't be worshiping these people. Listen, I just want to interrupt for just a sec to say if you are enjoying this video, I ask that you please hit that like button. If you enjoy my content, if you want to help the channel, please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps pushes my video out there. I would really, really appreciate it. Also, subscribe to my second channel if you have not subscribed yet. Link is in the description. Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, Dr. Dre, any of them. I don't think any of these people should be worshipped. I think you can appreciate and recognize their talent. But when you get to the point where you're practically worshiping these people, willing to ignore the fact that this man wore an iced out crown of thorns, which was completely blasphemous, then they'll tell you, well, he wore it because the whole theme of the album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, was him saying that he's not your idol, he's not your God. And no, if you listen to his songs, if you listen to the theme of the album, while he's saying that, he's mocking Jesus Christ, and he's actually portraying himself to be a form of his own God. If you listen to the lyrics, he's telling you how he reinvented himself, and he's encouraging other people to do that and become their own gods. We are not our own gods. That reminds me of Beyonce. Beyonce won Country Album of the Year award, and it has caused a lot of backlash, especially from a lot of white people, but especially from a lot of country artists, because they said she's not a country musician. And that I respect it. I respect it, you know, like she don't make a lot of country music, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I listened to the album. I didn't. I've heard mixed reviews about it. I don't really care about her album, but I would just like to point out the fact that she seems so shocked. I just find it amusing that you pretended as if you were shocked that you won Country Album of the Year award, considering the fact that you're married to Jay-Z and we know the strings and the pull that he has. Also considering the fact that Beyonce now leads all musicians of any genre of all time in Grammy Award wins. I believe she's at like number 35, which is absolutely insane to have won 35 Grammys in your career. Absolutely insane, but it's true. And not to mention the fact that she wore blonde hair, coincidentally, this day. But I would like to give a little bit of pushback. I saw that Charlie Kirk mentioned the fact.
No, but I mean, a serious question. How is it not cultural appropriation that she's culturally appropriating white people culture? That's okay?
And I know he was using some reverse psychological, because he don't really think this way, so to speak. So I know he was doing this to kind of speak out against progressives who think this way. But I would like to state that country music was not started by white people, bro. It's not white people culture. So no, even in your hypothetical scenario that you presented, it wouldn't be considered appropriation, even if you believed in that, because white people didn't create country music. Black Americans created country music. And then you had this artist named Shakira who got up there and said this.
I want to dedicate this award to all my immigrant brothers and sisters in this country. You're loved, you're worth it, and I will always fight with you.
This is just so confusing to me. Like, I just feel like you people are conflating legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. They're not the same. And all of them are not facing deportation because Trump is back in office. The only way legal immigrants are facing deportation is if they are legal immigrant children who are attached to illegal immigrant parents who came over and had them while they were here illegally. Other than that, if you are here legally, you are not facing deportation. I don't understand why you get up there and make these blanket statements, which is proof, in my opinion, that it's just virtue signaling. That's all it is virtue signaling. Which brings me to the trans drag lady that I purposely didn't even look up her name, but she just made the most ridiculous statement.
Trans people have always existed and they will forever exist, and they will never, no matter what happens, take trans joy away, and that has to be protected more than anything, because I would not be here without trans girls. So just know that pop music is thinking about you and cares about you.
That is so cringe. It's just so cringe. I'll always stand with you. What does that mean? Who's after them? There are only two genders, male and female. That is quite literally biological. That is consistent with biology. Whether you believe in God or not, it's consistent with biology. For a lot of you and those of you who typically don't believe in God, you like to run to science to talk about what you do believe in. It's funny how when we get to this, you don't go to science anymore. You don't rely on biology anymore. No one believes you. Which brings me to Lady Gaga, who got up there and said the same crap.
Trans people are not invisible. Trans people deserve love. The queer community deserves to be lifted up. Music is love. Thank you.
No ish, Sherlock. Of course they exist. Why is that the one thing that people always say, pro-trans or whatever you want to call it? Why is that the one thing they typically always say? They exist and they've always existed. Sure, there have always been people in this world that's existed that struggles with gender dysphoria. Who's debating that? What policies have been implemented by the Trump administration that argues that trans people don't exist? None. We all recognize that they exist. You're just not what you think you are. It's that simple. Which, by the way, you're free to think what you want to be. You're free to think and believe that you are what you think and want to believe that you are. Just don't force it on us. Don't force the rest of the world to have to acknowledge it and have to succumb to these beliefs where biological men get to enter primarily women-only spaces such as bathrooms and locker rooms, which is also so interesting because it's never the other way around. Most times you never hear about biological women who think that they're men fighting as hard as they can to get into biological men spaces. You almost never hear about those. I wonder why. And I wanted to save this one for last. Alicia Keys gets up there and says this.
This is not the time to shut down the diversity of voices. We've seen on this stage talented, hardworking people from different backgrounds with different points of view, and it changes the game. DEI is not a threat, it's a gift. And the more voices, the more powerful the sound. When destructive forces try to burn us down, we rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
Okay, more virtue signaling. But I also wanted to save this one last because I do have a few mixed feelings when it comes to DEI, because I don't support discrimination, which is quite literally what DEI is. It's discrimination primarily against white people, but especially against white men. I've seen it firsthand. And I know a lot of times it's not just about being inclusive, it's purposely to be exclusive. And I know that for a fact. But I also recognize that when the Trump administration or anybody else who is anti-DEI, which I can include myself in that category as anti-DEI, I've yet to hear a viable solution to make up for the reason why DEI was put in place to begin with. Because we all know just because you say it's based on merit and meritocracy, we all know that that's not actually what happens all the time in practice. We don't live in a society that's colorblind. Whether you are black, brown, white, pink, blue, it doesn't matter. You recognize that we all have our own individual biases. So when the Equal Opportunity Act was even set in place, there was a reason for that. So I would like some sort of solution other than just saying merit, because we all know that a lot of situations is going to reflect the way the Trump administration reflected the first time and the way it reflects this time, pretty much all white people. So you mean to tell me every person or every position, it just so happened that the best person for the position just happened to be white? I'm not saying put people in positions of color just so you can have diversity. I don't support that. But I'm saying there's no way in the world that the best person for every position is always a white person. Why is it that it keeps happening like that then? And I don't want us to forget the fact that DEI, white women benefited the most from DEI, especially when it came to affirmative action. But DEI wasn't just about black people, which I think is a lot of times what that a lot of people think about, what a lot of them being white people, are bitter about. It's not just about black people. In fact, it was about disabled individuals, because all disabled individuals are not, exempt from being able to work. There are several disabled people who can still get employment. DEI is also for our veterans, rural America, right? And the most important piece I want to mention about DEI that I think goes unnoticed, because there's a lot of disingenuous language surrounding DEI, even though I don't inherently support how it's practiced. DEI doesn't always mean unqualified, and a lot of you all know that. DEI doesn't always mean unqualified. A lot of times it means qualified individuals from different backgrounds and walks of life that have otherwise just been overlooked or not even given an opportunity to be interviewed or even recognized as if they don't exist. And I want to just throw in there that a lot of you that are anti-DEI, once again, I put myself in that category, don't also act like a lot of white folks have not gained positions when they weren't necessarily qualified because mommy, daddy, auntie, friend of the family hired you or brought you on, which was a lot easier for you and gave you a leg up as opposed to other people. It happens. But the biggest problem that I have with what Alicia Keys said is that a lot of these people have been rich and famous for so long that when you get up there and talk about diversity and all these things and inclusion and diverse, it's BS. You people are condescending, you're arrogant, and you're liars. How are you liars? Because it's proof that you don't care about diversity the way that you say you do, because when it comes to diverse thoughts, you don't see that. And the Grammys is the 100% reflection of how you don't see that. I didn't see or hear about a single celebrity that got up there and said one time, I praise Trump for what he's doing since he's been in the White House. Trump 2025. It just so happens that all celebrities support progressive thoughts. Like, what is it, a prerequisite to be a Democrat or to be progressive to be a celebrity? That's insane to me. This is one of the biggest reasons I believe Trump is back in the White House, because things became so radical, things became so extreme, things became so anti-God that people was like, we need a savior. Somebody save us from this. You don't even have to be fully Christian. You don't have to be as conservative as I'd like you to be. Be better than this. And you got Trump. You got so many people willing to overlook the things that don't even agree with Trump on, just so they can tolerate that, then rather deal with the left, because they so extreme. The Grammys is a reflection of why the country from a political perspective has went in the direction that it's went. And I don't see that changing anytime in the next 4 years or even the term after that. Y'all up in the comment section to give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think.
Oh yeah, DD got a podcast.